Hello, everybody at Westlake Charter. It's so nice to see you guys again. I'm so happy that we get to continue our UDL journey together. I just wanted to pop on to welcome you to the UDL Design Lab course. So, why don't we go ahead and get started? Okay, so here we are. We're right on the home page of our course. And when we want to get into our modules, we just head straight on down into the modules list and we click on it and we're ready to go. The first module is all about recruiting interest. So here we are in the land of recruiting interest. Now, as you go on, the modules will look pretty much the same. It starts with an objective, goes into some essential questions, and then an idea that I want you to really be thinking about and exploring as you look at the resources. Then down below are the individual checkpoints and some articles, some videos, some podcasts, some different ideas for how we can incorporate these things into our classroom. But what I wanted to talk about in our very first video here is specifically the lesson template that UDL uses. So I put up a sample right here for us, and basically here's how it works. On the left side here, I've included my lesson. So a UDL lesson has a goal, a method, the materials, and the assessment. Assessment meaning what's the independent work that the child's going to be working on to show that they understood the concept. So I'm going to start right off with my standard and my basic lesson. So here is a fourth grade lesson that is the standard that I definitely would have started with. So here we are. I post up my standard, which I've decided is make connections between a written story or drama and its visual or oral presentation, identifying where the presentation reflects specific descriptions and directions written in the text. All right, so here's what I've decided. It looks like I have to do some sort of make connections or compare and contrast the video to a book. So here's what I've decided. I've got some great short stories by Roald Dahl. They're called Revolting Rhymes, and he has like a fractured fairy tale version. And so I think it'll be hilarious to do Cinderella because it's quite different from the actual version. So I'm going to do a read aloud of Cinderella. I'll make sure all the kids have a copy, and then we're going to play the video version, and then we'll do a compare and contrast of Venn up on the board together. So I just need to make sure for materials, I have a class set of Cinderella stories for everyone to follow along, and then Venn diagrams available to the kiddos, regular Venns, and just for a little option, some Venn with lines for kids that need that scaffolding. And then the final assessment will be, okay, students will now independently read a second Roald Dahl story. I picked Little Red Riding Hood because it's also hilarious. And then the students will watch the video version, and then they'll fill out a Venn diagram on their own based on the reading and the video version that they came up with. So overall, I'm feeling pretty solid about my lesson. But now I slap on my UDL glasses and I have to look at this. I look at each piece and determine, okay, what is going to cause a barrier? So let's start. So first of all, I look at the goal. Sometimes the standard creates a barrier for the teacher. They misread or misrepresent what it is. So I have to really look hard in here to determine what is the goal. So the goal, or the big idea, it says to identify where the presentation reflects specific descriptions to the written story. So where the visual is a specific description of the story. So that means when I'm reading, I want to make sure that I look at specific descriptions and then see if they're in the visual version. Something else I want to look at. It says make connections. It does not say compare and contrast. While I understood it as compare and contrast, so I was going to do it as a compare and contrast lesson, and everybody uses a Venn diagram, so that's got to be just right. Well, let's be flexible. Are the standards saying complete a Venn diagram? Are the standards even saying compare and contrast? It's not. They want kids to make a connection, almost that recognition like, oh yeah, the author said the character's name was Mr. Fox, and look, his name is Mr. Fox. So it could be something as simple as that type of connection between the video version and the written text. Okay, so what am I going to do to change up my lesson? Well, I'm going to start here in my method. I want to be sure that I set the purpose for the kids as they read. So I'm going to say something like, as you read, underline or highlight any specific descriptions in the text that you think is going to show up in the movie version. Right? This way it kind of sets that purpose, the kids get excited. And now I've worked in that big idea of specific descriptions. So now we're going to do a nice close read of the text. We're going to look at, I'll do a think aloud with the kids as I read aloud with them. And then we're really going to have that focused eye on we're reading this text for a purpose to find specific descriptions in in a text so that I could see then if they show up in the movie version. And then I'm going to show them that there are all different ways to record information and to make connections. I will post or show a Venn diagram as an option, but there are lots of other options that are out there for making connections, even if it was just a box with an arrow to another box, or again, a blank piece of paper. Some kids already have a style of how they make connections. And then I could use a visual model to show the kids exactly what we're doing. So I could use a Google slide presentation, have my video link already set up so that everything's ready to go and I don't have to start typing things in and looking for stuff. I also probably, if I had it, would use a document camera as I do my read and my think aloud so that my students that need that scaffold that can watch me highlight my first few specific descriptions that I think will appear in the video, then they can kind of get that comfort level to know that yes, you have the freedom to highlight whatever options or whatever descriptions you feel you might see in a video. Now, I will say that I love the story Little Red Riding Hood by Roald Dahl. It is hilarious, but not everybody might feel the same way. So I have the book Revolting Rhymes, so why not copy out 8 options for the kiddos? And almost all of them are available on YouTube, and most of their videos are less than 4 minutes long. So I can go ahead and quickly make a set of links on my Google Classroom or even on like a playlist type of thing, so that now my students have the option to choose a revolting rhyme that they would like to do to show me the connections that they can make between a written text and its visual display. So then at the end, that assessment piece, I mean, they don't have to read independently. If 3 or 4 kids all choose that they actually do want to read Little Red Riding Hood as one of the options, then they can kind of get together as a group, read through together, watch the video version, and then create their work. So, and again, when I look up at that standard one more time and take a good look, it does not say that the child needs to write in order to make the connection. So I want to be, if I have the option as a teacher and I don't have to lock them into writing, which is a very specific barrier, I can allow them to draw pictures. I could allow them to even post an audio version or talk it into a computer, or even have a discussion with me if that's going to be easier for some of our kiddos and I have, a couple of minutes. So now I looked at my lesson and I thought about highlighting the big ideas. I thought about providing choice and options in terms of how they make a connection. I've decided to put up a big display and use a document camera. I've also put out some choice options for materials that they can use, and then the option also for, do I want to work independently with a partner or within a small group who's also reading the same thing. I also thought I would share with you 2 tips. So the first tip is that if you're going to make a visual display, so this is a visual display. It is not the same exact lesson, but it's the same exact standard. And it also happens to read Roald Dahl, which is pretty funny. So when I double checked and I looked at my work, I found this lesson. And so this one was where I was doing the same thing, but I picked chapter 3 of Fantastic Mr. Fox, which if you're familiar with the story, this is called The Shooting, and it's where his tail gets shot off. So it's a pretty big part of the story. And then from there, I have the visual display. I tell the class we're going to read pages 10 through 15 and we're going to highlight or underline those specific descriptions. Again, my visual is highlighting the big idea I want my students to know. And then the last part is I have my video here queued up and ready to go. But of course there are directions. It's not kick back, relax with some popcorn and watch a movie. It's not that. Instead, it's check off on your paper any of those specific descriptions that the movie had that really matched your text. Okay. The 2 special things I wanted to share with you. Number 1, if you're going to post a link on a Google slide and because you want to show a particular part of a movie, there is a way to edit those down. So what you do is you right click or double click on the movie itself, and you're going to get this little menu that comes up. You want to click on video playback, and then here you can actually edit where you want the clip to start and where you want it to end. Because this movie clip is about 4 minutes and 40 seconds, I don't need that much. The part that occurs in my book is just 1 minute and 28 seconds. So, and the movie ends, the clip I end it at the exact same line that is the line that ends it in the text that the kids are reading. So really, it was a great matchup and it worked just great. Overall, this lesson took me about 15 minutes. It was really deciding what text and what part, and then just editing the video clip to get it to end at the exact spot that I wanted it to end and start and end at, and it ended up being just perfect. Second cool tip I want to tell you that I learned recently, go online. Type in the title of any book. So I'm going to type in Fantastic Mr. Fox. After you type in the title, type in PDF. Yep, just like a regular PDF. I hit return, and the first thing that's going to come up is the full text available online. And I tell you, this happens for almost every single book on earth. So it's really, really very cool. This one happens to be almost a photocopy of it in this respect, but a lot of times when you go on, it's, let me think. Let's just put in the one and only Ivan PDF. I hit it. Oops, I hit it up. Of course, the first one comes up. There it is, my one and only Ivan. In I go. And then a lot of times it is written as a brand new a PDF. And the great part about it, sorry, that's just the beginning of the one and only Ivan, if you're familiar. And then the great part about it is that if I wanted to, I could copy and paste these and put them into my own documents if that was something that I was interested in doing. So two really great resources that we now have as teachers. One, we can edit our clips to make them short, just what we need without having to, run over and quick pause it. And second, we have PDF versions available of a lot of common pieces or common text that people are liking to use, so that we can now start creating our own excerpts if the books or the materials that we have just don't match up exactly like we thought might be a really good a good section or a good chapter or a good book that we want to use. We have all of this available to us, and of course available to our students who maybe now get really excited and want to read the rest of Fantastic Mr. Fox and maybe don't have access to the book or whatever it is. So I thought that it would be kind of cool to share those two things with you, and to also share that when you submit work to me, it looks like this. And then you can add in any of the other resources that you made. You can take pictures, you could do whatever you would like in order to show me that yes, you did the lesson and you have your materials that you made. And the last step, of course, is going to be a reflection. So when you get into the second page of each of the modules, and you go all the way down to the bottom and hit next, right inside of here, we have all of the list of accommodations and pieces that the research says our lessons should include, which you can pick and choose from. And then down here, different lesson ideas about how these have been incorporated into lessons. And then of course at the bottom, it tells you that if you're applying for graduate credit, then you can go ahead and submit your lesson and your reflection, and then any resources that you want to share with me. And then if you would like to use a template, that template is the one that comes up. If you have your own idea for how you'd like to share it, completely do that. I've had a lot of teachers just go ahead and they just do a podcast and they hold up their things and they talk to me about it, and or little videos or podcasts, and they do all kinds of little things. So it works really well, whatever works best for you. So I hope you enjoy your first module, and I hope that you enjoy this time setting up a brand new lesson or something exciting for your class. So use this module time to do some research and learn, and then save for yourself time within this PD time to design and create the lesson, because that's part of the time. That's what I want you kind of digging into. So I hope you all have a great September, and I will see you later. Bye.